The metal groaned, the ocean pressed. Jeanie felt the pressure in her chest, a mirror of the crushing weight outside.
The porthole, a single eye into the abyss, offered no solace. Only blackness stared back.
It was a living darkness filled with unseen things. She had never liked the dark. Here in the ocean's depths it was an entity. It was everywhere, pressing against the station's hull, seeping into her thoughts.
The station, our home for the next 6 months, was supposed to be a sanctuary. It felt more like a prison.
The hum of machinery was a constant reminder of their isolation. Millions of gallons of water, an unfathomable depth separated them from the world above. Sunlight was a distant memory. Down here, there were only shadows and the waiting darkness. Their mission was vital, groundbreaking research, studying deep-sea ecosystems, unlocking the secrets of the ocean floor, but the reality was harsh.
The station, a cramped metal cylinder, was our entire world. Every sound echoed, every movement magnified. There was no escape from the constant pressure, both physical and psychological.
The air itself felt heavy, recycled and stale. The silence, broken only by the hiss of oxygen and the hum of machines, was unnerving. It was a silence that screamed.
I missed the simple things. The feel of wind on my face, the warmth of the sun, the sounds of life, birdsong, laughter, the rustling of leaves.
Down here there was only the metallic groan of the station and the relentless pressure of the deep. The worst part was the isolation. Being tethered to the station during their dives was terrifying. The vastness of the ocean, the crushing darkness, was always there, just beyond the lights.
It was on one such dive that I almost tasted the true meaning of fear. The tether, my lifeline to the station, snagged on a jagged rock formation. Panic surged through me.
For a moment she was adrift, suspended in the abyss. The darkness pressed in, suffocating. The rope held, but the terror lingered.
I had looked into the face of oblivion, and it had stared back. The memory haunted me, a cold dread that settled deep in my gut.
Her colleagues, though, were a comfort. Dr. Lewis, the gruff but experienced leader. Maya, the ever-optimistic marine biologist. Their shared purpose, their camaraderie, was a lifeline in the darkness.
We joked, we shared stories, we reminded each other of the world above. Mealtimes in the cramped mess hall were a respite. The monotony of prepackaged food couldn't dampen our spirits.
They told stories, shared dreams of home, and clung to each other's humanity. For a few precious hours, the darkness receded. Jeanie found solace in their presence.
Their laughter, their shared fears, reminded me that I was not alone. We were in this together, facing the unknown depths as one.
Their bond, forged in the crucible of the deep, was unbreakable. Then came the blackout. One moment, the station was alive with the hum of machinery. The next, there was silence. An unsettling, absolute silence.
The emergency lights flickered on, casting long, grotesque shadows that danced across the walls.
Panic clawed at Jeanie's throat. The darkness was no longer just outside, it was inside with them. It felt different now, heavier, more menacing.
She stumbled through the corridors, her heart pounding against her ribs. Maya, Dr. Lewis. Her voice, thin and reedy, was swallowed by the oppressive silence.
There was no answer but the hiss of escaping air. The station was dying, and they were trapped within its cold metal embrace. Section 6, Crimson Trail. The footprints were the first sign that something was terribly wrong. Small, bloody footprints. They weren't human. They trailed across the floor, leading from the comms room, ending abruptly at the edge of a gaping hatchway. The hatch to the emergency escape pod.
A cold dread washed over her. Where was her team? What had happened here?
The silence was no longer empty. It was filled with whispers, with unseen things lurking just beyond the reach of the emergency lights. The bloody footprints seemed to mock her. They were a gruesome trail leading into the heart of the unknown. Each step towards the open hatchway felt like a step towards oblivion. Section 7, Whispers from the Deep. Jeanie couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The darkness itself seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy. She heard whispers too, just at the edge of hearing, soft, guttural sounds that sent shivers down her spine.
The ocean outside seemed to press closer, the metal groaning under the immense pressure. Or was it just her imagination? Had the darkness finally seeped into her mind, blurring the line between reality and nightmare?
She thought she saw figures moving in the shadows just out of the reach. Glimpses of something unnatural, something that didn't belong in the confines of the station. Her mind reeled, struggling to make sense of the impossible. Section 8. Escape from Hades. Fear, primal and consuming, took hold. The station was no longer a sanctuary, but a tomb. She had to get out, escape the oppressive darkness and the horrors it concealed. The escape pod, the bloody footprints leading towards it, was her only hope. With a shuddering breath, she made her decision.
Ignoring the gnawing terror, she moved towards the open hatchway. The whispers followed, growing louder, more insistent. She didn't look back.
Sealing the hatch behind her, she initiated the launch sequence. The pod shuddered, tearing free from the dying station. She was alone, adrift in the abyss, but at least she was alive. For now. Section 9. An unfathomable truth. As the escape pod broke the surface, a wave of relief washed over her. The sun, a blinding disk in the sky, was a welcome sight. She had escaped the nightmare, or so she thought.
The rescue team found her adrift, babbling incoherently about whispers and bloody footprints. They dismissed it as trauma, the effects of prolonged isolation. But Jeanie knew the truth. Something lurked in the depths, something ancient and evil.
And as she stared out at the vast, uncaring ocean, she couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching her, waiting. The nightmare wasn't over. It had only just begun.